$20,000. That is exactly how much one adult walrus can be worth on the black market if sold in parts. Tusks at $5,000 a pair, meat, fat, hide, bones. But for the residents of Chukotka, standing next to me right now on the edge of an icy cliff, this walrus means something entirely different. It is 1.5 tons of pure meat and fat that will feed 100 people for several months. It is a hide for a boat that will last 5 years. It is bones for tools, sinews for thread, intestines for waterproof clothing. It is the difference between hunger and sustenance in a place where the nearest store is 300 kilometers away, and the cost of delivering food is like buying an airplane. 5 in the morning. The temperature is -38. Wind from the ocean strikes the face at 15 meters per second, turning -38 into a wind chill of -52. Standing next to me are 6 hunters. The eldest, Alexei, is 61 years old and has been hunting walruses since he was 13. His sons Mikhail and Pyotr, both over 40, carry on the family tradition. His nephew Nikolai, 35, is considered the best shot in the settlement. Young Ivan, 24, for whom this is only his 5th hunt. And the elder Sergei, 78 years old, who no longer shoots but knows the habits of walruses better than anyone alive. They are dressed in a mix of traditional and modern clothing. Fur kukliankas made of reindeer hide over thermal underwear, trousers of sealskin, boots of reindeer leg fur with soles of walrus hide. Over all of this, modern windproof jackets, because the wind here spares no one. On their hands, reindeer mittens with additional neoprene liners. Their faces are wrapped in scarves so that only their eyes are visible, but even those are protected by special goggles against corneal frostbite. We stand on the edge of the shore-fast ice. Coastal ice that stretches from the shore out into the ocean for several kilometers. The ice is 2 meters thick, strong, reliable. It will not crack under our weight. Ahead, about 500 meters from us, on the edge of a large ice floe, lies a walrus haulout. There are about 20 to 30 of them, enormous brown carcasses pressed against one another for warmth. Even from this distance, their voices can be heard, bellowing, growling, snorting, as if a factory for producing strange sounds were in operation. Pacific walrus, Sergei explains in a quiet, hoarse voice, watching the herd through an old, worn pair of binoculars. Males weigh up to 1.5 tons. Females are smaller, about a ton. See those with the big tusks? Those are old males, about 30 to 40 years old. Their tusks are up to 1 meter long, weighing about 5 kilograms each. The young ones are there, on the edges. Their tusks are shorter, about 30 to 40 centimeters. He explains that walruses gather on ice floes to rest after hunting for mollusks on the ocean floor. They dive to depths of up to 80 meters, find concentrations of mollusks, dig them out of the bottom with their tusks and whisker vibrissae, and suck them up with their powerful lips. One walrus eats up to 50 kilograms of mollusks a day. After feeding, they haul out onto the ice, rest, digest, and sleep. We need a medium-sized male, says Alexei, studying the herd. Not the oldest, their meat is tough. But not a young, small one either. That one there, he points to a walrus in the center of the group. Brown, tusks about 60 centimeters, well-fed. About 1,200 kilograms, good meat, thick fat. That is the one we will take. The plan of attack is simple but requires precision. We need to get within shooting range, about 100 to 150 meters, without startling the herd. Walruses on ice see poorly. They are nearsighted, but their hearing and sense of smell are excellent. If one hears us, they will all head for the water, and the hunt will be ruined. So we must move quietly, from the downwind side, so our scent does not carry. And we must shoot accurately on the first try. The hit must be lethal, to the brain or the heart.
Otherwise, the wounded walrus will go into the water, drown, and we will lose everything. We check the weapons. Alexei and Mikhail carry large-caliber rifles, .308 Winchester Magnum, specifically for large marine mammals. A single bullet weighs 20 grams, muzzle energy 6,000 joules, penetrating a walrus skull 5 centimeters thick like cardboard. Nikolai has an SVD, a Dragunov sniper rifle, chambered in 7.62 by 54, also powerful, long range.
Spare cartridges are in pockets, though if more than one is needed, it means something has gone wrong. The butchering equipment lies on the sled. Knives with blades 40 centimeters long, bone saws, axes, hooks on poles, ropes 2 centimeters thick, tarpaulin, bags for organs. Everything has been checked, sharpened, readied. Also thermoses of hot tea, dried meat, matches, an emergency supply of firewood. In the Arctic, always prepare for the worst, says Pyotr, checking that everything is in place. We begin the approach. We move slowly, crouching, using irregularities in the ice as cover. The ice here is not flat but covered with pressure ridges, frozen waves chest high, piles of broken fragments. Ideal cover for a stealthy approach. Alexei is in front, choosing the path, stopping, looking around, waving his hand, and we follow. Every 500 meters we stop, check the distance, watch the walruses. They are still calm, lying in a heap. Some are sleeping, some scratching each other with their tusks, producing a characteristic clacking. One old male on the edge raises his head, looks around, sniffs, but notices nothing. The wind blows from them toward us. Everything is correct. 400 meters, 300, 250. We move even more slowly, almost crawling. The snow crunches underfoot, but the walruses on the ice make so much noise themselves that our sounds are lost. 200 meters, 170. Alexei raises his fist, the signal to stop. Any farther is dangerous. They might notice us. We shoot from here. The hunters take positions behind a pressure ridge, lie on their stomachs, rest their rifles on the ice for stability. Alexei aims at the chosen walrus, medium-sized, lying slightly apart from the main group. Mikhail takes aim at another, in case the first shot misses or the walrus manages to crawl into the water after being hit. Nikolai with the sniper rifle covers them both. Aim behind the eye, slightly lower, Sergei whispers to Alexei. That is where the brain is. Death is instantaneous. It will not even have time to flinch. A heart shot is worse. It will thrash for another minute and may crawl to the water. Alexei nods without taking his eye from the scope. His finger settles on the trigger. His breathing slows, becomes shallow. A second of aiming. A half exhale. Breath held. The shot. The sound tears through the silence, the echo bouncing off the ice ridges, traveling out over the ocean. The walrus jerks, its head snaps back, its body goes limp. Instantaneous death. The bullet passed precisely through the brain. The rest of the walruses erupt in panic, bellowing, growling, snorting intensified tenfold. Enormous bodies begin to move, crawling toward the edge of the flow, toward the water. Some fall into the water with a loud splash. Others shove one another, creating a stampede. Within 30 seconds, the entire herd has disappeared into the water, except for one. The killed walrus lies motionless, an enormous brown carcass on white ice. Good shot, says Sergei with satisfaction. Clean work. Now quickly, before it freezes solid and before polar bears come swimming toward the smell of blood. We run to the carcass across the ice. We cover 200 meters in 3 minutes. Our breathing falters. The cold air sears our lungs. We approach the walrus, and its size astonishes me all over again, even though I had seen it through binoculars.
Body length is nearly 4 meters from nose to hind flippers. The girth at the thickest part is about 3 meters. Weight, Alexei estimates, around 1,300 kilograms. Good. Well fed, the autumn fat is thick. The walrus's skin is thick, about 3 to 4 centimeters, covered with short, coarse hair. The color is brown, pinkish in places where blood vessels are close to the surface.
The tusks protrude downward from the mouth, curved, yellowish ivory in color, about 60 centimeters long each. Scratches are visible on them, marks from digging on the seabed, from fights with other males. The tusks first, says Alexei, pulling out a special knife. They need to be cut out carefully, without damaging the root, otherwise the value drops. He makes an incision around the base of each tusk, cutting through the skin and muscles of the snout. Then he cuts from below, separating the tusks from the jawbone. The work requires strength. The bone is hard. The knife gets stuck. Mikhail helps, rocking the tusk while Alexei cuts. Finally, the first tusk comes free, long, heavy, about 3 kilograms in weight. The second is extracted next. Alexei examines them, nods with satisfaction. Good ones, straight, no cracks. These will go for carving. They are worth a lot. But we do not sell them. We leave them for the craftsmen in the settlement. They will make traditional ornaments, figurines for ceremonies. Now the butchering of the carcass. This is hard, dirty work that will take several hours. Alexei makes the first cut along the belly, from throat to tail. The blade passes through the thick skin with difficulty. He has to saw, pressing down with all his weight. Walrus skin is 3 times stronger than cowhide, he explains, continuing to cut. In the old days, they made baidaras, boats, from it. One walrus hide for a baidara 6 meters long. Nowadays, it mostly goes for shoe soles, the strongest base there is. The cut reveals a thick layer of subcutaneous fat, white, dense, 15 to 20 centimeters thick. This is the walrus's main treasure for survival in the Arctic, explains Pyotr, beginning to separate the fat from the meat. Walrus fat is extremely calorie-dense, nearly 9,000 calories per kilogram. We eat it raw, boiled, render it for lamp oil. One walrus yields about 200 kilograms of fat. That is energy for an entire winter for a family. The fat is cut off in slabs and placed in separate bags. The work goes quickly. The knives are sharp, the hands experienced. Beneath the fat, the meat is revealed. Dark red, almost burgundy. Walrus meat is distinctive, says Mikhail, carving a large piece from the shoulder. The flavor is strong, oceanic. Not everyone likes it, but it is very nutritious, high in protein and iron. We make soups, make sausage, dry it for storage. We also feed the sled dogs with it. One walrus is enough for a team of 10 dogs for 2 months. I noticed that the hunters work in a strict sequence. Each one knows his part. Alexei separates the front flippers, powerful, muscular, with 5 digits ending in small claws. The flippers make a good aspic, he explains. Lots of gelatin, cartilage. It simmers for a long time, about 8 hours, then sets. A traditional holiday dish. Mikhail works on the rear section, separating the hind flippers and tail. Pyotr opens the rib cage, reaching the internal organs. The walrus's heart is the size of a soccer ball, weighing about 5 kilograms. The liver is dark, large, about 10 kilograms. The lungs are enormous, each the size of a pillow. They allow the walrus to dive to 80 meters and hold its breath for 20 minutes. The organs are extracted carefully and placed in separate containers. The liver is especially valuable, says Sergei. Rich in vitamin A, iron. But you cannot eat too much. You can be poisoned by an excess of the vitamin. Small pieces, like medicine. The heart is also good, tasty, tender. We slice it thin, sear it quickly. The stomach is opened and its contents examined. Inside are remnants of mollusk shells, sand, pebbles. From the contents you can tell where the walrus was feeding, at what depth, explains Nikolai. This one was feeding in shallow water. See? Small shells. That means a depth of about 20 to 30 meters. The walrus's intestine is very long, about 30 meters, coiled in loops. It is extracted whole and thoroughly rinsed in seawater scooped from a nearby lead. We make waterproof clothing from the intestines, explains Ivan. We clean them, dry them, sew them together. The result is like a raincoat, light, does not let water through. We also use them for storing fat. Fill them, tie them off, and you get an airtight container. The hide is removed in large pieces. This requires enormous effort. The skin is thick and clings tightly to the body. Alexei and Mikhail pull the edge of the hide while Pyotr cuts underneath, separating it from the muscles. The work goes slowly, with sweat, despite the frost. The hide comes off in pieces about 1 meter by 1 meter, each weighing about 30 kilograms. This will go for a baidara, says Alexei. 6 hides are needed for 1 boat. We already have 3. We will get 3 more and build a new baidara by summer. Gradually, the walrus is broken down into its component parts. Meat is stacked in one pile, fat in another, bones in a third, organs in a fourth, hide separately. Everything is neat. Everything is accounted for. Nothing is thrown away, Sergei explains the principle. The walrus gave its life. We use everything down to the last gram. This is respect for the animal, for nature, for the ancestors who taught us to do this. The walrus's bones are massive, heavy, dense. The skull weighs about 20 kilograms, each vertebra about 5 kilograms, the ribs as thick as an adult man's arm. The bones go for tools, explains Pyotr, setting them aside separately. Handles for knives, harpoons, scrapers. From the large bones we make sled frames, runners. Small bones become needles, awls, fishhooks. Special attention is given to the baculum, the penis bone, which in walruses reaches a length of 50 to 60 centimeters. This is a very strong bone, explains Nikolai, extracting it. It is used to make handles for the sturdiest tools and is also considered an amulet that brings strength. They used to sell them to tourists, but now it is prohibited. After 4 hours of continuous work, the butchering is complete. What was a single animal has now been transformed into neatly arranged parts. 300 kilograms of fat, 700 kilograms of meat, 150 kilograms of bones, 80 kilograms of hide, 30 kilograms of organs, plus tusks, intestines, and sinews. The total weight is about 1,300 kilograms of usable product. There is virtually no waste, only the stomach and intestinal contents, which are left on the ice for gulls and Arctic foxes. Now all of this needs to be delivered to the settlement, which is 5 kilometers from here. A snowmobile is brought to the butchering site, and the sled is loaded with walrus parts. The heaviest pieces of meat go on the bottom, lighter parts on top. Everything lashed down with ropes. One trip will carry half. Then we will come back for the rest. But the work on the ice is not yet finished. While some load the sled, others begin preliminary processing of certain parts right here. The liver is cut into fist-sized pieces and placed in a container. It spoils quickly, explains Mikhail. It needs to be either frozen immediately or eaten within the first 24 hours. A portion of fresh fat is set aside separately. This is for eating right now, says Alexei, cutting the fat into cubes about 3 by 3 centimeters. A thermos of hot tea is opened, and pieces of fresh walrus fat are laid out on the thermos lid as if on a plate. "Help yourself," he says to me, offering a piece. I take the white cube of fat. It is cold, dense, smelling of the sea and iodine.
I put it in my mouth and begin to chew. The texture is strange, like very dense lard, but more resilient.
The flavor is strong, distinctive, oceanic, slightly sweet. The fat melts in my mouth, leaving an oily aftertaste. I wash it down with hot tea. Warmth spreads through my body almost instantly. Energy arrives in a wave. Calories, Piotr smiles, chewing his own piece. 9,000 per kilogram. Eat 100 grams, get 900 kilocalories. Warm up. Have enough energy for a whole day of work in the cold. The best fuel for the Arctic that nature ever devised. The first load of cargo is sent to the settlement. The snowmobile roars, pulls away, dragging the heavy sled across the uneven ice. Alexei and Mikhail ride with it. The rest stay behind to guard the remaining parts and prepare the second load. While we wait for the snowmobile to return, Sergei tells me about the value of the Walrus to the community. In the old days, before Soviet rule, walruses were the foundation of life in Chukotka, he says. Meat, fat for food and warmth, hides for beidras, without which it is impossible to hunt whales. Tusks for trade with neighboring peoples, bones for all tools. One walrus fed a family for a month, 2 walruses for the winter. Then the Soviets came, banned free hunting, introduced quotas and permits. They decreed that a settlement of 300 people could take 20 walruses a year. That was not enough, but at least it was something. Now the quotas are even stricter, 15 walruses per settlement. We have to supplement with fish, with store-bought food shipped from the city. But walrus meat and fat are still the foundation. Without them, you cannot survive the winter. He explains the economics of survival in the Arctic. A kilogram of beef in the store in Anadyr, the nearest city, costs 700 rubles. Delivery to the settlement by helicopter adds another 300 rubles per kilogram. That makes 1,000 rubles per kilogram, and the average salary in the settlement is 20,000 rubles. A family of 5 eats about 100 kilograms of meat a month. That is 100,000 rubles, 5 monthly salaries. Impossible. But a walrus provides 700 kilograms of meat for free. The only cost is a cartridge at 100 rubles and a day's work. Divided among 10 families, and each receives 70 kilograms, enough for 2 months. Plus fat, plus bones, plus hide. The savings are colossal, the difference between survival and starvation. But it is not only about money, Sergei continues. It is about culture, about identity, about the connection to our ancestors. We are Chukchi, sea hunters. We have lived here for thousands of years, hunting walruses and whales. This is our way of life, our essence. If they ban hunting completely, we will cease to be ourselves. We will turn into urban paupers begging the state for welfare. Hunting gives dignity, gives purpose, gives meaning to life. The snowmobile returns after an hour and a half. We quickly load the second batch. The remaining meat, bones, hide, organs. Everything is packed, tied down, and sent to the settlement. We ride along behind, holding onto the sled, helping to navigate the most difficult sections with pressure ridges. In the settlement, people are waiting for us. Word of the walrus kill spread instantly. People have gathered at Alexei's house, where the final butchering and distribution will take place. Children run around, watching the enormous pieces of meat with interest. Women prepare tables, knives, containers. Elders sit to the side, observing, offering advice. The distribution ceremony begins, and here I witness true communality in action.